Hello again, welcome to the end of another week of UK Gaming Network. I'm Zoidberg. We kick off this show with a look back at Outrun Online Arcade, which is one of our favourite games of all time. April 15th marks 10 years since this slice of arcade perfection was released on the Xbox Marketplace, and we couldn't let this landmark pass without mentioning it. It remains a game that we play on a regular basis and demonstrates Sega at the height of their arcade craft. Whether you're blasting along the sun-drenched roads of Sunny Beach or drifting around the corners of Casino Town, it feels sublime. And of course, it's accompanied by some of the best and most iconic music in gaming. If you're thinking magical sound shower, congratulations, you're wrong. Seriously though, the game is unfortunately no longer available to buy due to the expiration of the Ferrari license and its subsequent removal from digital stores. But those lucky enough to still own it should dig it out this weekend and have another go in honour of this anniversary. If you haven't done already, of course. Last week saw the presentation of this year's BAFTA Gaming Awards, at a ceremony once again hosted by Dara Ó Briain in London. The biggest winner of the night was Sony's God of War, which took home 5 awards including Best Narrative, Best Performance and Best Game, an award that it clearly only won by default because Dead Cells wasn't nominated. Return of the Obra Dinn and Nintendo Labo picked up 2 awards apiece, with Best British Game going to Forza Horizon 4, Best Debut Game going to the excellent Yoku's Island Express, and EA's A Way Out being the surprise winner of the Best Multiplayer category. There was also an award for Best Evolving Game, which is a category that seems like it was designed specifically for something that Fortnite could win. That one, unsurprisingly, went to Fortnite. The 5 gongs presented to God of War equals the tally that Hellblade received at last year's ceremony. Can we expect The Last of Us Part 2 or Death Stranding to repeat the trick next year, or perhaps go one better? Let's hope so. A full list of all the winners and nominees can be found over on the BAFTA website. One of the saddest parts of the modern era of gaming is the number of games that we've lost due to server shutdowns. The latest one to be announced is Sony's Drive Club, but the good news is that Sony have given us 12 months notice as the servers will close in March 2020. This closure will affect the main Drive Club game, as well as Drive Club Bikes and Drive Club VR. Fortunately, all the games have decent single player modes, and those will still be fully playable. And it's nice that Sony have given us plenty of warning. Lastly this week we need to tell you about Enter the Gungeon, which has received a final free update this week called A Farewell to Arms. This has introduced 22 new guns, 14 new items and a brand new secret floor with a new boss. If you've not played this game before, then firstly, now is the perfect time to buy it, and secondly, where have you been? Now it's time to move on to the games that we've been playing the most this week, starting with Dangerous Driving, which you could essentially call Burnout 3.5. This is a game that could easily be done for plagiarism if it wasn't the same creative team behind it. Even the menus are the same as Criterion's fantastic carnage-strewn arcade racer. It's fast and playable with a huge number of races and events to take part in. There's a great new feature where you have to avoid the debris from crashes that you caused on the next lap, which means even if you're way out in front, you need to be keeping a close eye on what's coming up ahead. As it's a small studio, there's no licensed soundtrack, but that's made up for by the fact that you can link your premium Spotify account and make your own playlist. This, of course, has meant that I've used the UKGN playlist. The action is fast, certainly, but ultimately the tracks themselves lack a little bit of character. There's also no online multiplayer yet, as that's coming later in an update, which is not the kind of thing that we like to see. Still, well worth a look though. Tropico VI is the latest in Calypso's long-running city builder series that sees you installed as the ruler of an island paradise. For this latest entry there's been the change of a developer, not that you'd really notice as not a great deal has actually changed, and in some ways it's actually an improvement over Tropico V. It retains the series' all-important sense of humour and offers up a new mission structure that tests your knowledge of the game's systems, although it's not really any replacement for a campaign mode. Considering it's the 6th entry in the series, it's also very user-friendly for beginners too, so you shouldn't be scared of giving it another go if you've not played the series before. This week also saw Capcom bring their extremely silly Nintendo DS series over to consoles in the shape of the Phoenix Wright Trilogy. The originals were released between 2006 and 2008 and managed to capture the feeling that makes courtroom dramas so compelling. It's a dialogue-heavy adventure game where you need to pay attention to everything that everyone says and shouldn't skip a thing. And there's very little in the way of actual gameplay, making it more like an interactive novel in its approach. but the fantastic cast of characters keep your interest throughout the 14 cases that you play through. There are no real concessions made to the console audience, meaning that the game works better on the Switch, thanks to that console having a touchscreen option. Falken Age from Outer Loop Games is a charming, atmospheric indie game that can be played in or out of VR. The story mode sees your character forming a bond with an orphaned bird of prey, and the VR works well with plenty of comfort options so that you can tailor the game to your liking. You actually get the option to play the game with or without combat too, and the latter is actually preferable as battling robots gets tedious eventually. As you play through, you'll have to take on a lot of fetch quests, and that does involve a lot of walking back and forth across the same areas of the map. Despite this, you will actually find yourself caring for your feathered friend, especially as every time it gets hurt you can bring him back to life a little bit with fist bumps and high fives. In the end, it was a really enjoyable game, short but well worth the £15 asking price. Finally this week we have Tetris Effect, which is nearly 6 months old but we only just got hold of a copy. It's easily the most mellow version of Tetris to date, with the game having been designed to flow with the music, and it's very easy to lose yourself in the zone. It's also very different to Tetris 99, a game which favours fast thinking and reactions over the slower, more methodical play that's possible with this one. Although having said that, the sudden burst of speed can make it very intense. This is as much of an experience as it is a game, and not really worth playing if you haven't got VR. Between this and 99, we won't be needing another version of Tetris for a very long time. That wraps things up for another week. We hope you enjoyed listening to what we have to say about it. We'll be back next week to cast our critical eye over the week's news and new releases as usual. Next week, including a look at the latest game in the Earth Defence Force series. If you like this video or podcast, then please give us a like and subscribe for more just like it. See you soon.